Okay, good morning, everyone. The time is 9 a.m. I call to order the November 4th, 2020 Executive Committee meeting of the Contractors State Licensing Board. My name is David L. Torre. I'm the chair, board chair, and executive committee chair. Today, all 5 of the board committees are meeting. As we will be moving from one committee meeting to the next, we will have board members transition in between meetings. Please note that only board members who are members of the standing committee may participate in the committee meeting. Other board members who are in attendance may observe but cannot ask questions or participate in the discussion. Committee members, in order to mitigate any potential bandwidth issues, I want to encourage use of video cameras for committee members only while your committee meeting is in session. All others may join in by audio until your respective committee meeting begins, then kindly join in by video. If any problems arise from the use of video, we'll switch over to audio only. Any questions on that? Okay, seeing none. When you would like to comment at any time throughout the meeting, please select the raise your hand icon in the WebEx application. I will call on committee members to speak. When called upon, please unmute yourself, and when finished, return to mute. You will also need to click on the raise your hand icon to lower your hand. Joining us today is Registrar David Fote, Chief Deputy Registrar Tanya Corcoran, CSLB staff, and our board legal counsel, Jason Hurtado. Please confirm committee member attendance and roll call. Felice? Rick, is there some?
I'll jump in here, Felice. We're having some audio problems. It's got a digital garbled human. Try the option to change your audio and call in, but I can go ahead and call the roll for this meeting. David Della Torre?
Here.
Susan Granzella?
Here.
Hi, thank you. If you can bring your camera up, Susan, please. Mary Teichert?
Here.
Thank you. And if you can bring yours up as well. And Johnny Simpson?
I'm here.
Okay, thank you, Johnny. If you could bring your camera up. Okay, Mr. Chair, we do have all members present.
Thank you. Next is agenda item B, our public comment section. This item is provided for public comment pertaining to items not on the agenda. To allow this committee enough time to conduct its full schedule of business, I will be limiting public comments to 3 minutes apiece. Please note that state law prohibits committee members from discussing any matter brought up during public comment. We are also not allowed to act on any item not on the agenda. If you want the committee to discuss a topic not on the agenda, you can ask us to consider placing that issue on the agenda of a future meeting. If you have an application, complaint, or disciplinary charges pending before the board, we ask that you not discuss the details of your case or pending complaint. Committee members are not permitted to receive evidence or information that is not part of the administrative record in the case. If your comments are related to a specific agenda item, you can make your comments now, but you may want to wait until that item comes up for discussion. We will ask for public comment before acting on any item. Rick Lopes is our host and moderator today. He will be assisting us by monitoring the public teleconference line. Is there any public comment?
Mr. Chair, nobody has indicated any public comment at this time.
Thank you. Any committee members have any an item they would like to place on a future meeting agenda? Okay, see no hands. We'll move on. Next is agenda item C. Presentation of certificates of recognition. Today we are recognizing CSLB's Public Affairs Chief Rick Lopes. After 16 years of service to CSLB, Rick has accepted a position as Assistant Commissioner for the Department of Real Estate. Rick's last day with the CSLB is this Friday, November 6th. I will now read the certificate of recognition that has been provided to Rick. Rick Lopes has led CSLB's Public Affairs Office for the past 16 years, and his contributions are numerous. Rick was instrumental in the expansion of the very successful Senior Scam Stopper program and new online license applicant workshops. He took the lead on our media efforts and outreach in response to the disasters throughout the state. His innovative social outreach programs, creation of industry bulletins, issuing of press releases, conducting media events, and responding to media inquiries, and establishing partnerships has been outstanding. Rick played a key role in bringing CSLB into the digital age with things like live broadcasts of all board and committee meetings, and developing our social media and web presence. Rick will be greatly missed at CSLB. Now, before I ask if anybody would like to make a comment, I would. Rick, I just want to say that you've always conducted yourself in a professional and a calm manner. You've always been approachable and accessible. So I want to thank you for that and wish you the best in your new endeavors.
Thank you.
Any other board member like to comment at this time? You're on mute, Susan. There you go.
I can read.
I wanted to echo that. I'm sorry, did you call on me?
No, Johnny, hold on. Susan was on mute. Proceed, Susan.
I just wanted to say thank you, Rick, for all the service that you give to the board members, obviously to CSLB as a whole as well. But I remember when I joined, the first board meeting was the night of that horrific storm in Berkeley where we all almost crashed on the way down. I had no idea what it was going to be like, but you took the time to welcome me into the group, and you've always been a source of great information, and it's been a pleasure seeing the digital and all of the other programs that you've developed, plus seeing you on TV with these district attorneys taking care of the disaster victims. So thank you for your service, and we'll miss you.
Thank you.
Johnny.
Yeah, Rick, I just wanted to say, over the years, I just have appreciated you very much, man. You're extremely knowledgeable and always look to you for all the help. And just what a nice guy, man. What a great guy to get to talk to, always upbeat, man. So I really appreciate you, and I want to thank you for all you did to help us out and help our committees. And, just see the work you do. I'm just so impressed. And congratulations and good luck in your new endeavor, man. I hope it all works out great for you.
Thank you.
Okay, any other comment from the committee?
I wanted to add that I'm new to the board, but I've really appreciated, Rick, all of your help in the onboarding and making this whole thing simple. I think all of us have been taken by surprise and having to deal with a virtual universe this year in a way we never imagined, and you just made it much simpler. So thank you and good luck.
Thank you.
Okay, then is there any public comment?
Can you put me to work now? Hold a second. Let me look real quick here. I was engrossed in all the comments, and thank you very much. No public comments.
Okay. We will now move to agenda item D. The fee study conducted by CPS HR Consulting. The update and summary begins on page 11 of your packet and is followed by the fee study. As board chair, I appointed Vice Chair Susan Granzella and Board Secretary Mary Teichert as a two-person advisory committee to review the fee study. I understand that on October 16th, 2020, Susan and Mary met with CPS representatives and CSLB staff to review and discuss the study. The study lays out recommendations to maintain sufficient funding over the next 5 years. I found the study to be informative and look forward to hearing from Susan and Mary. Susan and Mary, the floor is yours.
Okay, I'll go first. I wanted to The first thing I wanted to say is that, it was the report itself was really well done. It was laid out. It was a history of CSLB. I think it's also interesting for our new board members because it lays out the foundation of why we did this report and where we stand today. I thought that was really helpful. And if you'll remember on the June 5th meeting, what we Dave and I presented the financials where our reserve was under, I think it was 1 month, what is required by, what is good practice by DCA. It had to do with fees, fee discussions, fee increases. And so what we informed everyone is that there was a study that we had contracted with CPS to do. Now, some background about CPS that we learned during this review was that they they've worked many times with DCA. They just completed a very similar study, just like what we have. In other words, can we justify raising these fees for the medical board, also a large board? And that, remember, anything that we do on this level will ultimately have to be approved. So the fact that we're working within the approved ways of DCA, I think, is really helpful. So on the update and the summary starts on page 11, and then their report begins on 13. And then Mary and I met. We went through the entire report. We suggested some changes, which they did make. And in essence, if you hadn't had a chance to read the entire thing, if you take a look at page 55, in essence, what the report recommends is that we separate the license, the B, with a corporate sole owner and non-sole owner. And on 55, there are listed the fees that we have, the current regulatory fee, what the statutory fee could be, and the increase. And the reason they put these in for the fee levels were to be able to incorporate the fee levels along with the 7.1 expense reduction Dave and team promised last June. It's in here, it's in effect, so that their projected budget appears on page 57, and that is the projected growth budget with the recommended fees. So there are fee increases and then the expenditures, and that we would be able to build up the reserve over a period of time to 4.4, which is in good practice within any business. And so the sole owner versus non-sole owner also take into account, when we're looking at this, the remodeling contractor classification is anticipated to bring in about $625,000 a year. It's not included in here because we can't bank on it, as well as the $500,000 savings by moving our testing to another environment. And that's not included in here. So that would increase our revenue over a period of time if both of those were successfully implemented. So when we went through this, you can see in here all of the justification. It's really well done, but the justification for the sole owner and the non-sole owner differentiation is that it takes staff a longer period of time. There are more hurdles. There are more steps. And so as we were looking at this, Mary and I were talking about financially appropriate estimates, and we had them change some the headings in a column so we can understand them. But from my perspective, it is a valid study for us to move forward and take this to the board in December. I approve from the financial standpoint here. Now what I would like to do is turn it over to Mary for her analysis on her opinion about this financial analysis, as well as her unique knowledge of the industry and what is appropriate, what we can look toward at these fee increases. So, Mary?
Thank you, Susan. And so following up on Susan's comments, I think everything she said kind of outlines the depth with which we've both reviewed this material and had good discussions with the consultants who prepared it. One of the perspective items was the significant increase that these fees would represent for non-sole owner contractors. So two kind of frameworks that I think we can consider. One is that we don't take this lightly, because I think California is a costly place to do business and contracting is a costly enterprise. So this is something we have to seriously consider, which is exactly what we're doing in this format. And then second, to put it in perspective, this amount of money is less than most of us pay for association fees for the AGC or United Contractors. Some of the other costs of doing business as a contractor are at or higher than this level. So if you compare the value of having a contractor's license to the value that we get from some of the other investments that all contractors or a lot of contractors in California make who are not sole owners, this seems completely reasonable. I'd also add that it's specifically of value for larger contractors to help encourage and support smaller contractors to be licensed. Not only does it help maintain the standards for the industry, but also most of us need subcontractors or specialty folks that do particular items. And so having this kind of increase for the non-sole owners allowed us to maintain a baseline level for the sole owners that I think helps encourage licensure. One of the challenges that we all have is if people, we certainly have a great enforcement arm and some sticks relative to folks avoiding being licensed. But the other side of that is also not making it prohibitive for sole owners to get licensed. And so the combination of having it be a reasonable amount of money for a large contractor to pay and also supportive of having smaller contractors not have a big increase and hopefully thereby promoting them getting licensed, we felt like was an appropriate balance. So it's not easy to decide to increase fees. However, to Susan's point, the whole intent of this is to help the CSLB maintain some fiscal responsibility. And we think this is a pretty fair way to do it.
And I would like to add, I didn't mention earlier that these fees would go into effect if we were successful in taking this through in July of 2021. Now, there are certain steps that would have to take place. And Dave, would you like to explain that, or shall I summarize, or shall we have Chief Jay tell us what would be in store for us if the board were to consider this seriously in December?
Thank you, Susan. Chief Jay has been working very hard in preparing to answer that question, so I think we'll turn it over to him.
Okay, good.
Well, thank you, Mike Jemnetsky, for taking this.
Good morning, everybody. Mike Jemnetsky. I work for the legislative division for our new members on the call. Yeah, just real quickly, I wanted to do a timeline of what we're looking at here. So today is obviously November 4th, and the executive committee is reviewing and discussing this study for consideration for full board approval. That's what we're doing today. We have a tentative meeting December 10th for the full board to review and discuss this study. Pending approval of this study by the full board, that is when staff will request authority to prepare and pursue a legislative proposal for a bill that would take that would amend our statute, our fee statute. Have the legislature amend our fee statute of 7137 of the Business and Professions Code. Then we have between December 10th, assuming the board authorizes staff to do so, we have between December 10th and kind of early January 2021 to seek authorship for inclusion of any of these fee study recommendations in a legislative bill or a budget trailer bill, whichever may occur as appropriate. We still need to work with DCA and agency on what folks want to see from boards as far as fee studies and budget bills, fee bills go. So legislative bill or budget bill by the end of January 2021, we would obviously keep you posted. That leaves us basically the rest of the calendar year 2021 to see what happens with this budget trailer bill or legislative bill. As Susan mentioned, maybe July 2021, if this is a budget trailer bill, we don't know, or September 2021, if this is a policy bill. Susan did mention that the medical board did use these same consultants, and they did get a bill through in a policy bill to raise their fees. And if anybody is interested, it is AB 3330. It was approved by the governor September 30th of 2020 to take effect January 1st of 2021. So that if anybody take a look at what we're trying to do, take a look at AB 3330. So assuming that we have success in a budget trailer bill or a policy bill in the year 2021, we would be looking at a January 2022 effective date for that legislation. Now, CSLB, if we do have the ability to enforce these new fees January 2022, we would begin assessing them on our renewals on that date. But as everybody knows, our renewals go out a couple of months in advance. So we would take our January queue of renewals that are due in March and start charging that fee. So all of that means that starting March 2022, we strongly hope to begin assessing the new fees. I hope that was clear and I can answer any questions.
Any questions?
Thank you, Mike.
Okay. Thank you thank you, Susan, Mary, and Mike for that report. We appreciate the work you've done. CPS will present the study of the full board at the December 10th, 2020 meeting. Mike Jamensky, please provide the next steps. Specifically, if board approves the fee study, he already went through it. So is there any comment is there any comment from the committee? Rick, any public comment?
No public comment at this time.
Okay, great. As discussed, CPS will present the study of the full board on December 10th, 2020 meeting. If a committee member would like to make a recommendation, the fee study be forwarded to the full board for consideration. Please state your last name followed by the motion.
This is Johnny. I'd like to make a motion to present the study to the full board.
Is there a second?
Second?
Was that Mary?
Yes, it was. Thank you.
So it's been moved in second. Is there any comment from the committee? Any public comment? Rick?
No public comment at this time.
Okay, great. So it's moved in second. Felice, please take roll call. I think Felice has been having problems with her audio.
I tried calling in on the phone here, so we were trying to do this without testing. But Felice, if you're able to go ahead and try doing the roll call. If not, I'll jump in and do it.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes? Okay. David De La Torre?
Yes.
Susan Granzella?
Yes.
Johnny Simpson?
Yes.
Mary Teichert?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, great. Thank you. Now we'll move over to item E, CSLB's Mentorship and Career Development Program. CSLB New Mentorship and Career Development Program. An overview is provided on page 75 of your packet. It is my understanding that staff initiated this effort and continue to be engaged in the development of the program. I will now turn it over to Registrar David Fogt and Chief of Administration Mike Meliza to present to the committee. David, Mike.
Thank you, Chair De La Torre. Just for some background, for a number of years, the board has been supportive of elements in place to attract people to work for the Contractors Board and to give our employees the tools they need to compete for promotional opportunities here at CSLB or other government agencies. They've included outreach at job fairs. We have a weekly email update of available CSLB jobs. We have job shadowing, establishing training and development positions, and permitting staff to attend training in-house at CSLB as well as at the Department of Consumer Affairs. We have many staff today in leadership roles that have worked their way up the career ladder. I don't know if you all are aware that Tanya Corcoran started her state career as a student assistant, and I started mine as an investigator for the Contractors Board. This topic has come out into the spotlight over the summer with our enforcement staff. I was approached by one of our special investigators in our SWIFT unit, and he had ideas on how we could build upon our previous recruitment and development efforts. It's a very timely topic because approximately a quarter of our workforce, or 100 of our staff, you might say, are over 55 years in age. So they're at the retirement age, and we need to consider succession planning to fill behind the staff when they do retire. As with any successful program, we needed to identify somebody to be in charge of it, to serve in that leadership role. And we're very fortunate that our Chief of Administration, Mike Maliza, not only volunteered, but he's really stepped up and he's taking charge of this program. So I'm going to turn it over to Mike now to update us regarding career development activities. So Mike.
Thank you, Registrar Foat, and good morning, Chair De La Torre and members of the Executive Committee. So as my update will begin on page 75 of your committee packet. As Registrar Foat discussed, CSLB is developing a series of programs to assist all employees with their career development goals and to provide them with tools for upward mobility. So to assist employees in all aspects of their career, CSLB is establishing a career development and mentorship program. So this program will help retain and promote CSLB's talented and motivated employees. These programs will help employees enhance their skills in their current roles, navigate organizational ladders, gain personal insights into their strengths and areas of potential growth, and sharpen their ability to pursue career advancement when opportunities arise. So in addition to a formal mentorship program, a formal mentorship program will provide employees one-on-one mentorship to help build networks and to receive career-related support, advice, and encouragement. So CSLB's executive staff and career development mentorship program steering committee held a kickoff teleconference meeting on September 15th of 2020 to review broad program goals. And I'd like to add that the steering committee is comprised of staff representing each of the CSLB divisions, and we meet weekly to discuss and build the program. So on October 8th, just last month, the steering committee sent a survey to all CSLB staff. That's a little over 400 staff that we have here, to solicit ideas and get feedback about the program. This survey included questions about what type of career assistance would be most helpful. It includes resume writing, interview preparation, training on specific fields of work, opportunities to learn more about other divisions within CSLB, job shadowing, formal one-on-one mentorship, and so on. The survey also included an open-ended question for staff to share other ideas that they might have. I'm pleased to report that 100 staff had responded to the survey. That's a response rate of 27%. That was a very high survey response rate. Of those who responded, about 75% of the respondents indicated an interest in some type of career development and mentorship program here at CSLB. So it's a very strong response there. The biggest interest is the opportunity to learn about other divisions. And then the other areas of interest included those areas that I discussed earlier: job shadowing, interview preparation, additional training in their specific field of work, and so on. These responses will assist the committee to develop the program in a way that prioritizes the needs of the staff. So, in fact, we're going to be meeting later this week. We meet weekly, and we'll start building the program based on the feedback that we got from the staff. So that's all I have to report for now. Are there any questions in regards to the career development and mentorship program?
Any committee questions? Questions from the committee? Okay. Well, Dave, Mike, thank you for that.
Welcome.
Rick, is there any public comment on this item?
No public comment.
Okay, with that, we'll move on to agenda item F. It's on page 79. There's an update on selecting a consultant to study Which CSLB license classifications should it install battery energy storage systems? I will now turn it over to Chief Administration Mike Meliza to provide an update.
Thank you again, Chair. So the little background. So at its December 12th, 2019 meeting, the board directed staff to retain an outside consultant to study the appropriate contractor classification to install solar-paired battery energy storage systems. On March 4th, 2020, CSLB published a request for proposal to contract with a consultant for this study with a submission deadline of May 6, 2020. On April 30th of 2020, the California Department of Finance issued Budget Letter 20-11 that, among other things, precluded departments from entering into new service contracts. However, on May 11th of that year, CSLB submitted a formal request that a consultant contract be exempt from the budget letter prohibitions. And on June 4th, the Business Consumer Services and Housing Agency approved that exemption request. So then we were able to move forward with the RFP. The steps in the process of selecting the consultant followed requirements set forth by the state contracting manual rules and were conducted by the Department of Consumer Affairs alongside the CSLB evaluation team. So it was a three-phase evaluation process for this RFP. The proposals meeting the RFP requirements underwent, again, a three-phase evaluation process by the evaluation committee. So the evaluation committee consisted of Registrar Dave Fote, Tanya Corcoran, our Chief Deputy Registrar, and myself, Chief of Administration, Mike Meliza, for the first two phases. So during the first phase, the evaluation committee reviewed the technical written proposals and through consensus arrived at a single score for each of the evaluation criteria. This occurred on August 17th and August 18th. Any bidder receiving the minimum technical score proceeded to phase 2. So the second phase was based on an oral presentation from each bidder. Then we held that online via video conferencing to ensure social distancing on September 3rd, 2020. Successful proposals advanced to phase 3. So phase 3 involved DCA granting a cost component score based on total project cost, which concluded on September 9th of 2020. So DCA awarded the contract to the bidder who accumulated the highest final score that included the technical, the oral presentation, and the cost component. On September 11th, 2020, DCA issued a notice of intent to award to the winning bidder, which is the University of California at Berkeley. As required, this notice was physically posted at DCA and at CSLB headquarters and online at fiscal.ca.gov. CSLB took additional measures of posting the notice on CSLB's website on the Energy Storage System page. CSLB waited for DCA to determine if there were any protests to this notice during the required 5 business day protest period. No protests were filed. So currently DCA is working on drafting and executing the contract with the University of California, Berkeley. It does take some time to do that. The tentative contract dates were targeted for November 1st through February 28th. However, we've passed those dates and we're going to adjust those dates accordingly. And once the contract is reviewed, approved, and executed by DCA, we'll have those exact dates. But the contract term is a 4-month term. So that is all I had for the update on the ESS RFP. If there's any questions, I can take those now.
Okay, Mike, thanks again for that quick update. Are there any committee questions?
I do have a question. And maybe I missed this part, when will you know when the date of the start of the contract, when it is executed both by DCA and UC Berkeley?
Yes, DCA will notify us as soon as, right now they're just drafting the contract. And then once they get close, DCA and UC Berkeley will decide on an actual start term date. And once that's done, and once the contract is actually signed by both parties, they will notify us of the start date. But they'll have an idea before that and they'll let us know accordingly. And we're in constant communication with the department on the drafting of the contract. So we can let you guys know as soon as we find out.
And the other question is, how did you come up with the 4-month duration for the contract? Was it a standard contract period, or was it based upon the requirements of the RFP?
Early on, when we were drafting the RFP and registrar vote and chief deputy registrar Corcoran, you can chime in as well. But I think we were just thinking with staff and input from the board that we thought that the contract would take about 4 months, and we were kind of wanting to get it done as quickly as possible. We thought that would be a reasonable time to get that done. So that's really what the time frame was based on.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
I guess picking up on that question, is there a provision, depending on what they find or how this proceeds, for modifications as we go down the road?
As far as time?
I think as far as time, but it seems like depending on their findings, we might not want to rush it, I guess is my point.
Yeah, that's a great question. There's always, there are mechanisms in place with the state contracting manual where we could amend, and it's not uncommon to amend contracts for time because the contractor or maybe the program needs more time. So yeah, that could be a possibility.
Okay, and is it possible to get a copy of the RFP? And I apologize if it's in these materials, but I haven't seen it.
Absolutely, we can get that to you today.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Any other committee comments? Rick, is there any public comment?
At this time, I don't see any, but we do have 4 callers who are just on the phone. So if I could just take a moment to remind them, if you do have any public comments and you're only on the phone, if you can please raise your hand. To do that, you dial *3 and that'll raise your hand. And then when you're done, you can hit *3 again to lower your hand. So at this point, Mr. Chair, I do not have any public comment.
Great, thanks. So that was an informational item. No proposed actions required from the committee at this time. Okay, so we are on agenda item G, which is the review of the board member administrative procedure manual. You can find the manual beginning on page 83 of your packet. The proposed edits are intended to provide clarity on current board policy. I will turn it over to Tanya Corcoran to present.
Thank you. So the board member procedure manual, it provides a guide on important laws and regulations, board and departmental policies, and it also delineates the board member and staff responsibilities. The manual, we review it every few years. The board last reviewed the manual in April of 2018. You'll see that the proposed revisions are noted as underlined to note any new language we've incorporated, strike out for language that's being removed. The proposed changes that you're seeing in your book today are really to clarify existing policies or roles, but I would like to touch on a few of those changes today. First is on page 105, and that's the registrar evaluation. The change noted is simply adding the verbiage as necessary, and the board has the discretion to evaluate the registrar at any time. But I wanted to raise this to the committee today because Registrar Fote and I on Monday had a meeting with the director, and that was with all department, board and bureau, executive staff, and executive officers. The department has recently made changes to the evaluation process and encourages the evaluations to be done annually. So we're planning for the evaluation to be conducted by the board at the March board meeting. DCA will provide the instructions. They take the lead on that, working with the board chair, and they'll work with myself on this, and we'll provide all that information out to board members prior to the March board meeting. So the other change I wanted to talk about is on page 111, and that is new language that was added, which is contact with parties to a complaint or investigation. So it is our current practice that the registrar or I will take the lead to respond and address these matters, but our goal is to respond within 24 hours of receipt of any inquiry or request sent to board members. We'll respond on your behalf and we'll provide a copy of any correspondence that received and is addressed to you, and also our response. So I just wanted to highlight those 2 points, but I'd be happy to address any other changes or questions from the committee at this time.
Is there any committee questions or comments? Hearing none. Rick, is there any public comment?
No public comment on this item.
Okay, great. Well, thank you, Tanya. Do I have a motion to approve the board member procedural manual?
This is Johnny. I would make the motion to approve.
I'll second.
Send to the board.
And Susan, you seconded, right?
Did.
Okay. Elise, can we go down roll call? Actually, is there any further comment from the committee? Any public comment?
No public comment.
Okay, Elise, roll call, please.
David Delatorre,
Aye.
Susan Granzella,
Aye.
Johnny Simpson,
Aye.
Mary Teichert.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Okay, great. That brings us to agenda item H, the Information Technology Strategic Plan Update. The IT Strategic Plan objectives begin on page 119. I will now turn it over to CSLB's IT Chief, Jason Perez, to provide an update. Jason?
Good morning and thank you. My name is Jason Perez and I'm the IT Chief for Contractors State License Board. Today I'll be providing a brief synopsis starting at page 119 of the IT Strategic Plan objectives. I'll be reviewing each item and starting with item 5.11. We'll talk about an online process to automate public sales requests. So this is CSLB IT completed the development and the release of the public data portal in June of 2019. Prior to this implementation, CSLB received requests from the public entities and also from consumers for data extracts from our master database. Now consumers and public entities are able to retrieve this data through our CSLB website and accessing our public data portal. Item 5.12, an update to the website to offer e-payments. The IT division released the sole owner online renewal in April of 2020 and the home improvement salesperson renewal in July of 2020. This allowed contractors and salespeople to electronically pay for their renewal through the CSLB website and process the renewal online. Currently, we are in the process of implementing the online citation, which is scheduled to be completed December of 2020. This will allow licensed contractors to pay citations online. Also, the original application, which was part of this, will be discussed in item 5.15. Continue on to item 5.13, which was to create an online e-signature. Also, with item 5.14, which was an online account, and item 5.15, which is a partnership with the Licensing Division and Public Affairs Office. I'll be discussing all three together, as we believe CSLB, one solution will be able to meet the expectations of all three objectives. Recently, the IT division demoed a vendor solution with DCA, Office of Information Services, to review a vendor solution that on an online cloud solution to enhance our licensing and enforcement solutions. Recently, the Board for Professional Engineers, Land Surveyors, and Geologists recently released this vendor solution in August. We will be contacting them to follow up on as they go through their recent deployment of this system. This solution, though, will also provide an identity access management system for Contractor State License Board. This will be for contractors and applicants, which will improve the convenience, allow for an online account option, and reduce the application process times. Moving on to item 5.16, which is a partnership with the Public Affairs Review and Update web contact to ensure public information presented to the public is accurate and accessible. Since July of 2019, CSLB annually certifies that the CSLB website is in accordance with American with Disabilities Act's requirements. All new publications and reports uploaded are ADA compliant prior to being published on our website. Additionally, the IT division has provided the Public Affairs Office and the ability to update license stats and web content. IT and the Public Affairs Office will continue collaboration moving forward to enhance the user experience through this objective. Item 5.17, mobile technologies to enhance efficiencies in the field staff. For field staff. This item has been marked completed. We recently issued out laptops, mobile devices, and portable printers to the Enforcement Division staff. And at this time, no additional technology requests have been received from the Enforcement Division. Item 5.18, the creation of a mobile app for available services. A mobile app is currently under review to ensure that this is a cost-effective solution. In the meantime, the IT division, while this assessment is going on, the IT division is continuously enhancing the CSLB website to be mobile-friendly when using a mobile web browser. CSLB has begun the initial discussions with another state's licensing contractor agency, who is also in a similar situation with providing a mobile-friendly web application for unlicensed activities. We'll be following up with them shortly. Moving on to item 5.19, an expansion of the public records and licensing information on the website. The IT division, licensing division, and the Public Affairs Office continuously collaborate, and CSLB has released the public data portal to access public records. All data that's available to the public and public entities fall in line with the Business and Professions Code, Section 27. Item 5.20, conduct needs assessments to determine requirements for new licensing enforcement computer system. CSLB has completed this assessment for our business modernization efforts, and we will continue to report annually to the legislature, and we have been since 2016, which is in accordance with Government Code Section 210.6, which requires CSLB to continuously review business processes and organizational change management activities as we assess a new licensing technology. From that assessment, CSLB has determined that our business modernization effort can be met through technology solutions that are currently available with DCA's and CSLB's portfolio. Item 5.21, implement SCORE 2.0's programming. SCORE, which stands for State Contractors Official Regulatory Exam System, is a application used by our testing unit within the licensing division for examination development and exam administration. However, with the recent signing of AB 3087 by Governor Newsom, the CSLB IT will be dedicating resources to the transition to a third-party vendor for exam administration. In addition, while this is happening in the year of 2021, IT division will dedicate another resource staff to the development portion of the exam development portion of the SCORE system. At this time, this concludes the update to the IT strategic plan objectives. I'm available for any questions.
So are there any questions from the committee?
Yes, I do have a question.
Susan.
Item 5.21, the implement score 2.0 programming. Is this related, forgive me if I didn't see the connection, but is this related to the testing we do on the classifications for the contractors?
Yes, it is.
So this is our move within DCA to the third party, and now it's a strategic objective as well as it was the way we were moving toward anyway, correct?
Correct. So there's two aspects on this that the score provides for us. One is the administration of the exam,